Hello.
Hi.
Okay.
We are just waiting for a few more people to join, then we'll start. Okay, I think we can start now. My name is Manuela Anadra. I'm going to be a facilitator for this session. We are going to be talking about the book Founder's Guide to Accessing Funding. Please, I hope I can be heard. So for our breakout session this evening, first person is an executive director of Meripa Investment Advisors Limited. She also serves as the lead for the deal sourcing and investment team. In her role, she supports high growth, small and growing businesses in Ghana who need patient funding to scale up their businesses. And she occasionally also consults on developmental projects, particularly ones that are related to women economic empowerment as well as SME development. In her free time, she likes to bake, she likes to read, she likes to hike, and she also sometimes loves to climb trees. So this evening, let's all welcome our host and our speaker for this breakout session, Miss Enyonam Kakane. Miss Kakane, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Manuela. I hope that you can all hear me. Hello, kindly confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, please.
Okay. So thank you, Manuela, and thanks to the leadership of the Young Adults Fellowship for this opportunity to share a few of the things that I do, in my 9 to 5 job with you all. And I hope that you do find this session useful. I've tried to make it as practical and applicable as possible, and then with some resources that you can actually take away to, start the process of looking for funding for your business. So I just want to confirm that everyone here, there are, well, excluding the host and I, there are 10 other people that you actually have businesses that you're running, or you are thinking about starting a business, or so just you can show by raising your hand if you are running a business already. Okay, so I see 2 hands. There's a third one. Okay. That's good to know. For all the others, I do hope that you find this useful. Okay, so shall we share a quick word of prayer? Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful to you for the opportunity to share this evening. We ask that you would give us understanding, and Lord, you would help us in our businesses, help us to be able to build businesses that would stand, that would last, and that would make the impact that we desire that these businesses should have. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, I'll share my screen. And kindly confirm if you can see my screen as well. Manuela, how much time do we have for this breakout session? Hello, Manuela.
Hi, Enyonam.
Yeah, I was asking if you could confirm how much time we have here.
Yeah, so we have about an hour.
Okay, so we should be wrapping up by 8:30.
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. Okay, so as I share, I think I don't mind if you pause me to ask your questions. I can take questions as we go along. So for this session would be first, so you've started your business and you're looking to raise funds for your business. The key things that you need to look at before you actually go into fundraising or preparing for fundraising, we'll be talking about that. So first, we'll be looking at the business stage, looking at that and trying to figure out for each stage of the business, what kind of investors should you be approaching? And then also we'll be looking at the different types of funding that are available out there, looking at the different features of the funding that is available, and then what the expectations are, because that's something that you need to know. Depending on the kind of business that you have, you may not be a match for a certain kind of investor who is looking for certain kinds of returns. And then we'd also be looking at what the funders look for, specifically in businesses. And then we'd go through a bit of what you can do in your business to prepare for the investments. And finally, I have some resources that I'll share with you that you can actually start looking at, in terms of fundraising. Okay, so usually when we're talking about the stage of the business, we are looking at whether this is whether your business is currently at the idea stage. That is, you are now formulating your idea. You're now trying to figure out, whether you should. For instance, if you're starting, okay, can one person just tell us about their business? Then I can use that as the example. If no one volunteers, I'll just mention the name of one of the people who said that they have business. I think Martinson, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I did raise my hand.
Okay, all right. So kindly tell us a bit about your business, and then if you don't mind, I'll use your business as the example or the case study as we go along.
Oh, all right. I pray it meets the expectation of the kind of business you are looking for.
I'm
But
sorry, can you say that again?
so I'm saying that I pray my business meets the expectation of the example you are hoping to make out of it.
I'm sure it will.
Okay, sure. So mine is more like an NGO, and we we focus on mobilizing people along diplomacy lines, so more like young people to come together for some number of days to train them in diplomacy. So it's called Organization for Policy and Leadership Development. And what we
Okay.
do is to bring young people together. We we train them to know much about the governmental and intergovernmental corporations and developmental agendas, as well as just to educate them to envision their future prosperity in occupying some of these offices. So that's what we are doing currently.
Okay, sure. All right, thank you. Yeah, so you are right about the business that that meets the what I'm expecting in terms of what you do. But that's okay. Okay, we would have. Can we have one other person share what they do? So I'll use Martinson's and the other one as the examples. So can we have one other person? Yes.
Right. I'm not a young adult. Yes. But
Okay.
I don't know if I'm permitted to join.
Oh, of course. I believe so.
I don't consider myself a young adult, but I thought that this is very interesting. Well, outside what I do on a regular basis, I have a small business I call the Trainer's Toolbox and Consult. And what I do is that I curate training tools for every space. I say I create or curate training tools for every space, every age, So that's what I do.
Okay. Okay. All right. Great.
And
Thank you very much.
Tools. They're actual, physical and actual. Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I don't quite understand what the business does, but I would use that and then Martinson's as the examples. Yes, I think someone else mentioned my name.
I wanted to share before.
Okay, Nora, please go on.
I run a clothing business, so practically I do nightwear, bed sheets, fabric, and I started on pre-order basis. So meaning that I'll use customers' money to buy the product, then add my profit to it. But at a point, people wanted available items, so I had to sort for investment from family and friends, and then I started doing wholesale and retail as against the pre-order as well.
Okay.
So yes, basically that's what my business.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Great. Thank you all for sharing. So we're talking about the stages of the business. So the three examples that we have, it looks like these are already businesses that have been established. They have some traction. There's been some work done already. But if you actually haven't started the business, perhaps you're now, formulating the idea. You're now thinking through, okay, so if I want to set is it a training? Did you say training? Sorry.
I said Trainer's Toolbox.
Trainer's Toolbox,
yes,
exactly.
Trainer's Toolbox, yes, and Consult.
Exactly.
Yes.
So thinking through something like that, if you're thinking about setting up a business that does that, but you haven't done any registration, you haven't put together, a draft plan or whatever, then you could call that, an idea stage business. So you're really just testing the waters to see, probably speaking to a few people that, okay, look, if you have this product, would you buy it? Would you need such a product, etc.? So that would be a business that is in the idea stage. And then for a startup, well, yes, you've gone ahead, you sort of have the idea properly formulated. You may have also developed a minimum viable product. So in the case of Martinson, who is doing training in the NGO space, I hope I got it right. Then you may have, a couple of training modules that you're working with, maybe one or two to start with. That's your minimum viable product. Or in Nora's case, where she started with pre-order basis before now actually, being involved in the production herself. Right. So in the startup stage, you are trying to see whether your product actually has a market. So you are trying to figure out what the product market fit is. And you're also looking for people who can immediately start, patronizing your product. Usually for this stage of business, we would, immediately go to our family and friends, people who know us, and say that, hey, I have this product. Would you be interested in buying it? And once we see adoption on that end, then we can go further, to now start doing other things around around marketing, etc., to get the product out there. Then we look at the growth, businesses in the growth stage. These are established businesses, and so the business model has been proven. There's been repeat business, and you're probably looking to grow into other markets, etc. Then you talk about the businesses that are, being in the expansion or maturity stage. These are businesses that have been in existence for years. They Of course, they have repeat customers and repeat business. The business model has been, tested. They've tested the business model to the extent that they know, that the business model is scalable as well. And so wherever they go to implement their product or to open up a branch or whatever, they know that these are the things that we need to do in the market that we are going to be able to set up or to get our business, running in those markets. But to now bring it home to our businesses to be able to determine the stage that we are at. Remember that I said that depending on the stage of your business, you would approach certain funders or not. So now we want to look at in each stage, what exactly are we doing? So we can consider the seed or the idea stage businesses and those in the startup phase as those that are trying to figure out a problem solution fit. I hope that makes sense. So as an entrepreneur, you're solving a problem. You figured out a problem, right? And you're trying to find a solution to this problem. Tori, realized that there's a gap or there's a problem when it comes to trainers' toolkits. And so her solution, when it comes to trainers, and so her solution is to develop a toolkit that trainers use. Okay, so in that stage of a business, you are actually doing some research, you're developing your MVPs. As I said, you are testing your solution to see if people would buy it, if it would actually work. And probably at that stage as well, you may be able to access some funding. And usually for businesses that are, in the idea stage or in the startup phase, the funding sources would be family and friends, which Nora mentioned. And there are some, other sorts of grants out there for idea stage businesses for you to be able to test your solution to see if it actually works or not. And then in the next stage, we have the product market fit. So in the product market fit phase, we can also look at startups as well. But in this case, you're a startup who has a product that is out there already. You're actually looking at pricing, testing to see, how much would customers pay for this product of mine, right? You are developing content around your products, looking at the kind of partnerships that you need. And so you've already moved past so you have a product which is solving a problem, right? But is the problem that is being solved for just me and for Manuela, or it is for, me, Manuela, and 1,000 other people? So in the product market fit, that's what you're trying to do, to figure out that, okay, my problem is not, my solution is not, my product is not solving the problem of only my family, but there are many other people out there like me who need this product, or like my family who needs the product. And then when you look at the early growth and monetization businesses, these are, early stage businesses which are growing. So you're scaling users. And so, for instance, you are now able to put your product not only in 2 or 3 shops, but you are able to go to 10 shops. You're able to go outside the region outside Greater Accra region, etc., you're able to go to say the other capital cities, etc. Right. And then also for the mature businesses, I would not touch too much on that. In that case, they are looking at scaling outside of, their countries and developing other strategies for other countries and raising some significant amounts of money to do all of these things that they want to do. Then next, we'll look at what kind of skills are needed in each stage of the businesses that you are, right? So for the startups and those that are doing an idea stage businesses, for instance, you should be able to do some user research. You should be able to go out there and interact with potential clients and figure out, exactly what they want. So you should be asking the right questions. I don't know what questions Tori, for instance, asked her clients, her customers, before she came up with a solution for for the problem that she identified. But clearly, she asked the right questions and got some answers, and after that developed a product around that. So that's what you're doing. You're engaging with potential, clients or stakeholders. In the next stage, you're doing some active marketing and sales. You're looking at what are the things that are actually bringing in the sales, right? And so that's where the analytics come from. And fortunately, for most of the tools that are used for marketing, they give us, social media marketing, right? They give us the analytics, and so they you have an idea about, okay, if I tweak this, if I change this, these are the results that I get, and so you do more of the things that would give you such results, right? In the next stage as well, which is early growth and monetization, a lot more sales, developing partnerships, and in addition to that, you're looking at, okay, now how do I retain my customers? Because you want repeat business. And I don't know, I think it's easier to retain a customer than to go out to look for a new customer. So those are the things that you are, looking to do in there. And then, well, those that are huge out there, they are also doing, some, like I said, I will not touch too much on those ones. The next thing we'll be looking at is what you require, in the business, depending on the stage that you are at in terms of the key talents. So for the idea stage businesses, of course, the founders should be in the business. You're looking at product designers. You're looking at, some sort of specialist if you yourself are not a specialist. So for instance, if I don't know whether Nora, for instance, knows how to actually make the clothes, right? But if she doesn't, then she needs a specialist who would be able to do patterns, etc. for her. Same for, Martinson. I don't know if you have experience already in putting together the training that you do. But if you don't, then you need an expert who would guide you on what is actually needed in the, diplomacy space which you are in, right? And then for the next stage of the businesses as well, when it comes to the product market fit, you're looking at, depending on the type of business you have, talks about software engineers, and that is if you are into, if it's a technical business, into software engineering. You're also looking at people who understand marketing very well, or if it is you, then that is fine. But who know, the buttons to push for sales to come in. Then in the next stage as well, for growth, early growth and monetization businesses, you're looking here at some, some key talents, which include the finance manager, some business operations manager, etc. I would pause here, and then if there are any questions, I can take them, and then we go on to the next slide. Are there any questions? Okay, I don't see any hands, so I believe I can go on.
Hello, Enyonam.
Yes, hello.
Yes, so just a quick one from me. So, do I have your permission, please?
Oh yeah, please go on.
Okay, sure. So about the scaling up part of it, considering in my enterprise where um, my resources are generally people that I depend on because of their expertise to build up the foundation for the training. So these are people that may have done a lot in their own space. So we want to leverage on their skills in training people. So we are engaging with diplomats, we are engaging with people who have done a lot of work in the multilateral space. So how my question really is, how do we or how do I think to stand on their expertise if I really want to scale up? Because now it looks like this is where the challenge is when you have to reach out to people because these are more like targeted skilled area that you really will not have to sit there and look for resources yourself to build up in people, but you have to leverage on experiences over the years and those who have done a lot of work in the diplomatic space, those who have done a lot of work in dealing with bilateral and multilateral relations. How do we stand on the shoulders of these people to scale up so that we can reach some more people to also benefit from what they have learned over the years? That's in the case of my business and the work we have been doing.
Okay. So, well, what we have done at MIRPA, because MIRPA also does consulting. I think Manuela talked about some consulting that we do as well. So what we do, of course, we don't have all the expertise that we need in-house. So one, we look for or we identify people who have the skills that we do not have, right? And so when we are putting in a proposal, we always include these people in there because in some cases, it is their expertise which would actually, win you the projects that you are applying for. So that is one, identifying, a pool of resources that you can fall back on. Being mindful of the fact that it's not everyone who would be available at the time that you need them. So that's why you need a pool of resources versus, being dependent on one or two people. So if you're able to identify, well, to start with, I don't know how many of such projects you've been able to do or such trainings you've been able to do. But to start with, if you can identify one or two people who have the skill sets that you need, and then you can go in with them to do the training or to put in the proposals, etc. And as you go along, you realize that you would, as you go along, you realize that you would also meet other, experts, or the people that you have started working with would recommend other experts to you to be able to do your work. Another thing that you can also do is if you are starting, in some cases, for you to build the track record and develop yourself as well, you may need to partner with other organizations that are already, in the space that you are getting into. Of course, you need to know who to partner with so that, it's a fair partnership. And in some cases, you may actually need to then be the one taking the lowest end of the fees, just because you want to be able to build your expertise and build your track record in what you are doing. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you.
Okay, so Manuela says that there's a time for questions, but if there isn't any other question, I think we can go on. This would be the last slide on the stage of the business. Then we'll look at now specifically the different funding that is available for each stage. Now, I went into detail on the different stages so that when we leave here, you can, go in and assess yourself or assess your business based on these key things that I have shared, and then be able to know, where exactly you place yourself, right? Okay, so this last one is talking about the growth and scale indicators per business. And here as well, we look at the revenue of the business and then the number of users. But I didn't put any metrics here because this is industry specific. And so for Matheson's business, for instance, the number of clients may be, different from, for instance, Nora's business. I can imagine that Matheson, for instance, he may be serving, the embassies, and how many embassies are there in Ghana? I'm just giving that as an example, right?
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
Nora may be, okay, yeah. But Nora may be looking at, thousands of customers because everybody needs pajamas to sleep in. Is it pajamas? Yes, I think she said pajamas, right? Except those who don't sleep in pajamas. So yeah, so depending on your sector, depending on the industry, there'll be different metrics that you'd be looking at here when it comes to these growth and scaling indicators. All right. So we want to talk now about the types of funding that we have, and then who you should be going to. So I've grouped this according to, the institution and then the type of funding that they have, or the instruments, what we call the instruments of doing the investments. So for the funding types, we have equity investments. Now, equity investments would be, investments that someone does into your business and takes shares out of your business, right? So that would be an equity investment. Then the next one is debt. Debt is simply just a loan. So it could be, a loan in any form at all. Then we have the convertible loans. Now, the convertible loans are loans with the intention of, taking equity or converting these loans into shares later on in the business. And in some cases, there are metrics that the business needs to achieve before, an investor would say that, okay, I would now convert my equity, the loan I've given you into shares. And some of these can be done even with loans that family and friends give to us. We can then say that, okay, hey, would you consider, the loan that you gave to me as a family friend, whatever, would you consider converting it into shares? So I give you a portion of the business, right? And then we have the quasi equity. These are more like also closer to loans, but they have features that look like equity. I'll explain more on that. Then we have the grants. And in terms of the grants, you can either have grants that you have to pay back or grants you don't pay back. And then grants that earn an interest or grants that don't. So they can either be redeemable, meaning you pay back, or non-redeemable. And then they can be at, concessionary rates, very, very low rates, or at zero rated grants. Then you can also have revenue share. This is simply, whoever gave you the money, saying that I'll take a portion of your, revenue. So whatever sales you make at the end of the year or at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter, you give me a certain percentage of those sales that you make. So those are the types of funding or the instruments that are used for financing. And then we have the institutions who likely would do these kinds of investments, and the shaded portions would show where each of these institutions sits when it comes to the type of or the instruments that they prefer to use for funding. So you'd see that banks do loans only. There's nothing more to it. They don't do any other kind of lending. It's just a debt. It's just a loan. And then they give you an interest rate, and then you have to pay back. Now, private equity companies or venture capital firms, which is where MERPA sits, the company that I work for, is a private equity venture capital firm. We are able to do, to cut across the different kinds of funding, except for grants. And this is because we need to pay back. You need to pay us back, and you need to pay us back at a high return. Let me just leave it there. Okay. And then we have the angel investors. Now you could see angel investors as people who, have some money sitting somewhere that they wouldn't mind supporting SMEs with. They wouldn't mind supporting businesses with. So these people are not necessarily family and friends, but they are people who, have some nice money sitting somewhere that they wouldn't mind doing an investment in your business. So, of course, they also are doing the investment with the intention that they would be getting a return back. So they can do equity, debt, or any of the quasi-equity structures. And then you have the family and friends as well. Family and friends, they are able to do any of these equity, debts, or quasi-equity. And in fact, you could have family and friends sort of saying that, okay, I am giving you this loan, but it's a zero rated loan, right? So you pay back without an interest. And then you have the grants as well. Most of the grant making organizations are the development finance institutions. So examples being the MasterCard Foundation. I'm sure you've heard that they're doing quite a bit when it comes to, funding for SMEs. Sometimes they do grants which are connected to programs that they run. I'll share more of those when we go down to the resources that are available for SMEs. Okay, so now, depending on the stage of the business, like I said, you would approach a different kind of investor. And so it's very important that you research. If you're in the market to looking for money, it's very important that you research the investors that you want to approach, whether they are banks or whether they are angel investors or they are private equity and venture capital companies or they are grants institutions. It's very important that you research them to understand the kind of businesses that they prefer to, support with funding or that they prefer to invest in. And so, for instance, let me give an example. If you're a startup, for instance, you would not be approaching a private equity company. You will not be coming to me for money, right? The Manuela said that we support high growth businesses, right? So these are companies that have been in existence for a while and have some significant traction when it comes to revenue generation and understanding of the market that you're in. Okay, and it's because for a startup, for instance, the kind of returns that we're expecting as private equity companies, you cannot be able to, meet or give us those kinds of returns. Banks, for instance, also do not look at startups and idea stage businesses, and there's a reason why. They are looking for some history, which they would use as a basis to extend funding to you. They're looking for some kind of cash flows, which they would use to assess your business to see whether you can actually pay them back, etc. And as a startup or it's an idea stage business, you may not have that kind of history. And so going to banks would be like a total waste of your time. And so that's why it's very important to identify where you are, and then research into the different categories to be able to figure out what they offer. Now, even within each of these categories, the different players sit in different places. So when you take private equity and venture capital companies, for instance, my company does investments up to 10 million Ghana cedis. But there are private equity and venture capital firms that do investments up to, say, 1 million cedis or 5 million cedis. So depending on what you are looking for, you know whether to come to Mirpa or to go elsewhere. I hope it's making sense, right? So that's why it's very important that you research the business, you research who you want to approach as well. Are there any questions here?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes, it looks like this has given me quite a better clarity to a challenge that I've been facing. So in my business, as I mentioned earlier, um, in starting up, I needed some funds. I had some seed capital, and then I I knew that getting to banks or any other private entity would be a challenge. So I decided to resort to family and friends. And we've gotten to the point where we need to scale up. So seeing from your slide currently on the screen, I now get the clarity that to the extent family and friends will come in, you are probably in need of their support, or their support can help you reach to seed and startup level, but to
Yeah,
expansion and maturity and all of that would definitely be a challenge with that kind of support you get from family and friends. I hope that's right in what I'm
yeah,
thinking.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
that's
then
that's
I
correct.
think,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, so
Mhm.
thank you. So in that case, what do I do? Because I, I don't know how long it will have to take to convince a bank or probably some venture capital to see into the the business and say this one I can take it up and support you with some seed money, maybe corporate social responsibility funding. We have somewhere that we can support you, or even to give you some thousands or get into 1 million, which I'm sure can be possible. But how to convince them is the issue. What do I do in this instance?
Okay, so you could you could move you could look at angel investors. That's one option you can consider. So, for instance, these would be people who either understand your industry and have some people who understand your industry and want to support you um, in growing your business. So that's one. You could look at those angel investors for your next level. Or you could also look for, because what you do is in the non-for-profit space, you could also look for grants and other development agencies that are interested in what you are doing, right? And see if they have grant funding for the kind of training that you do. It might be difficult in your case since you are not for profit to go to to approach a commercial funder, right? So that is why I recommended the angel investors and then other grant institutions or other DFIs who do grants. But yeah, I mean we can think through it some more. We can talk about it some more later if you're able to grab me at church.
Sure, sure. Thank you. So in that case, it's Mastercard an angel investor.
No, so Mastercard is a DFI. It's a
Okay.
DFI, but yes, it's a DFI.
Okay.
Okay, all right. I think we can go on. Okay. So in terms of the what the different types of investors are looking for when it comes to returns and recovery, because like I said, for some of them you need to, well, for all of them excluding the grants, you may need to pay back, right? And so it's also important that you understand what kind of returns they're expecting of you, and also the timing of these returns is important as well. If as a business you're not able to fulfill some of these timelines that they give you, there could be implications which would significantly, affect your business or negatively affect your business. So for banks, okay, so the deeper the shade of blue, the more important it is for the institution. So for banks, we know that liquidity is important for them. So immediately they disburse the loan to you, they're expecting you to start, revenue is seasonal, right? It comes in quarterly. Then you can't be going in for an agreement with a bank where you're required to pay them every month. You're going to struggle to do that. And then, of course, the timing of the recovery, again, for banks, it's almost immediately. They don't give you any moratorium on the loans that you take. For private equity and venture capital, I'll put those two to. They are a bit more flexible, although some of them do expect that you should be able to, start paying back. Depends if it is equity or if they did, they, got shares in your company, then of course you would be paying them back after the time that you've agreed that they should be partners in the business. But they might be expecting you to pay them dividends. So in that case, they're expecting some regular repayments from you. So just to think through, for whoever is lending you money, how do you expect me to pay back, right? Does that, work with the how I make money, so that it doesn't put a burden on you and on the business? Okay. So when it comes to what these funders are looking for, banks are looking to see that you can generate revenue, right? So they are looking to see that you understand the market that you are working in, you understand how to make money. They are looking for collateral, which is the security. They are looking to see if you have systems and structures in place to ensure that you can return their money to them. For private equity and venture capital institutions, we consider highly the team as well, the team that is executing. We're also looking to see that you do understand the market that you're operating in, and that you can actually, you know how to, generate revenue in the markets that you're operating in. Typically, do not take any form of collateral. Okay, Manuela, we typically do not take any form of collateral. So yeah, there's no security there for DFIs and angel investors. You'll be, for grant makers or DFIs and angel investors, they would be looking at who is running this business, right? And what's the value proposition? What value are you delivering to your customers? When you approach an angel investor or family and friends, it's usually because of you, the individual who has come to them to ask for funding. Okay, I think this and the previous slide more or less talk about the same thing. So now, investment readiness. So yeah, you think that this is, I'm at the point where I do need to bring in external funding. So what are the things that you need to put in place? What are the things that you need to work on within the business to ensure that you are more attractive to funders out there? So one of the first things is your governance. What governance structures you have in place. Governance really talks about who is on your board. If you're a limited liability company or a sole proprietor, you really don't need to have a board in place. I mean, you're not required, by statutory obligation to have a board in place. But if you're currently a sole proprietor and you think that you're at a place where you do need to bring in external funding to be able to open up, and have a wider pool of funders to approach, it might be a good time to start thinking about converting into a limited liability company. Because usually private equity and venture capital would not do sole proprietors, and for good reasons, right? Because of governance and because of depending on if you're doing equity, for instance. We can't take shares in a sole proprietor, for instance, right? So governance, that is it. Who is on the board? How are decisions being made? How are records being kept, etc. And then we are looking, and then you need to also look closely at how you're managing your finances in the business, how you're keeping your records, because it's important that you provide both your historical information to anyone who is interested in financing your business, whether it is an angel investor or even a bank, right? They need to see proper records, and these records need to be accurate, not cooked, as some businesses do. They need to be accurate records, and you need to have kept them well, so that at any point in time you can pull them up. So a simple spreadsheet, if you are very early stage, would do. There are some tools out there that you can use, cloud-based tools that you can use for record keeping. You pay a subscription every month and you're good to go. They pull up all your reports for you, whether it is your P&L, balance sheets, etc. Once you're keeping the records well, they will pull up these reports. And then also human capital management. So who have you employed in the business? How did they come in? Do you have agreements with these people? Or you was just, oh, come, can you help me? You don't have any, any proper records between or agreements between you as an employer and your employee. Then the other side is, okay, what kind of employee are they? Are they full-time? So are you paying SNITs for them, or this is a part-time employee, etc.? All of those things need to be documented and available for an investor to look at when they ask. And then depending on the kind of business, technology and operations management. So for instance, if you are, doing, okay, 25 minutes, that's nice. So if you're doing, let's say, food manufacturing, do you have properly documented operating procedures, for instance, SOP, so that anyone who comes in knows that, okay, for my food business, this is how we cook stew, right? So that it's a standard that your business has. And then in there, you're also looking at quality assurance, how you're doing quality assurance, how you're doing quality control as well, and all that. A very important one here is compliance. I'll talk about compliance and then ESG. Very important one is compliance. So we are looking at both the statutory and then regulatory compliance. Compliance in the sense that, are you paying your taxes? Are you filing? Because there are consequences for, all of these things if you are not compliant, both on the regulatory side and on the statutory side. And they also come with heavy penalties and interest if you do not file. So it's important that no matter how small you are, you develop the habit of, paying your taxes and filing at the right time so that you don't incur taxes, you don't incur, unnecessary penalties and interest. Then very heavy these days is the ESG aspect as well. ESG is really environmental, social, and governance. We've spoken about the governance side, but as I always say, you want to make sure that your business is not leaving people and the environment worse off than than they are. So that's also one key thing that you need to look at as a business. So if you're doing food manufacturing, for instance, how are you disposing of your waste? Are you just throwing it into the gutter, or you have a proper way of disposal, etc.? How did you, if you are situated in a residential area and you are doing manufacturing, how did you engage the community, to let them know that, okay, I'm setting up here, and this would be the likely impact on the lives of people there. There might be noise, there might be pollution, etc. Those would be considered when it comes to ESG. Okay, so I would move to the resources now. I mean, the rest of the slides, really, I've talked through those. So let's see. Yeah, here we are. And then after this, we can take questions. All right. So what support, what help is out there for entrepreneurs? Depending on, the stage of your business, there are various entities that are supporting, that are there to support you. There are these entrepreneurship support organizations that run programs for SMEs. Some of these programs come with opportunities to get some grants to support your business, or some other, benefits that these come with. So these programs can either be for investment readiness, where they are helping you to put in place all the systems and structures that you need to have for, an institutional investor to look at you or to consider you. And then there's also, programs around scaling readiness, scaling, for instance. So putting in the structures to be able to scale your business, to be able to secure more customers, etc. And then in some cases, these programs are actually for the idea stage, or the idea stage, or startups, for you to be able to test your program, to test your idea, to see if there is actually a market out there for your idea. So there are various programs out there, and like I said, some of these programs come with opportunity to access some sort of funding for you to use in your business. So I listed just a few of these programs that I know are currently going on. Some of these have, of course, for each of these programs, you need to apply. Some of these have programs that are currently open. Some do cohort-based programs, and so you may need to follow them to see when the next cohort may be, maybe be starting, so that if you are interested, then you can put in an application. So we have Reach for Change. So, they have a program going on for early stage businesses. For agri-businesses and climate businesses within the climate space, there's quite a lot going on. You'd find that a number of these entrepreneurship, these organizations that support entrepreneurship are running such programs. And so please look out for them if you are in those industries. So agri-businesses, food processing businesses, any business that's making like any kind of food or cosmetics, etc. You're using agric produce to make your products. Such programs are out there for you to consider. Growth Africa. Then we have the Ghana Private Equity and Venture Capital Association, which is the GVCA. So the GVCA regularly runs investment readiness programs. And there's one happening on the 18th of July. So really all you need to do is to sign up or register for that program. I think it's in person. And then, attend this program. And they have they have transaction advisors who are there to support you to become investment ready, right? And then I mentioned the MasterCard Foundation earlier. They're doing quite a bit in the entrepreneurship space as well. And so they, through various institutions, are supporting entrepreneurs and funding entrepreneurs. So, for instance, for those who might be interested in going to the bank, they have these concessionary loans that they do with some banks, so that you can get money at, let's say, I've heard someone who got a loan at 4%, from one of these banks. So that's something that you could consider. And then there's Orange Corners. Orange Corners is run by the Netherlands embassy, and they are sector agnostic. So in any sector at all, they are able to support the business once you're successful with your application. And after you go through the Orange Corners program, for instance, you're able to access also some concessionary loans from their partner banks. I don't remember what percentage they do, but it's not the commercial rate. Okay, so I've talked about concessionary loans and credit unions. I don't know how many of us are members of LIC Credit Union, for instance. I think that's a good resource that you can use. You need to be a member, right? You need to be contributing, and then you can access loans up to a certain amount, right? Depending on what you have contributed. If you are at the University of Ghana as well, I think they also have a credit union that gives the opportunity for you to take a loan at concessionary rates also. And then we talked about family and friends. So it's very important to invite others into the business with you. If you're a limited liability company, you can invite them in as shareholders as well. And some might be willing to support you. So thank you all very much. This brings me to the end of my presentation. We can take questions at this point. Okay, Martinson. Yeah, I think tonight I came because of you, eh?
I tell you, it looks like it's really hitting me today. Um, so I think I hear you as you present on the various funding opportunities we have, whether it's from the banks, it's from the FDIs and others. My question really is, so what does the magic? Is it that
Sorry.
you are able to secure a loan or resilience or probably trusting the process that you one day make it out?
Sorry, can you ask the question again? I didn't
So,
get the.
so my question is, I want to find out. So, yes, everybody's looking for funding to scale up their business and to go into several areas that they have envisaged. My
Yeah.
question is that from your experience over the years dealing with supportive businesses and all of that, what does the magic? Is it that you are able to secure funds
Okay.
or funding for your project or business, or the resilience of the enterprise, the business that and the people who are working in it, in trusting the process that definitely time will tell the shine of the business.
Okay. Okay. I understand your question. So my big sister Stacy is here. I'm tempted to ask her. Oh, she's dropped off. Anyway, okay.
You are
Hi,
the
Doctor.
expert.
This one he's asking for experience.
Well, I guess once I have successfully crossed the fund raising the fund bit, then I can answer with confidence. For now, I can only make suggestions from what I've seen. And I think depending on who you're targeting to go to raise your funds from, sometimes it's relationship. Sometimes it's the product itself, where the product is, you find somebody who really buys into it, who believes in it and will, invest in it, even though they know that they have to be patient to realize their, what do you call it, revenue coming out of it, their returns. And, but one of the things that in this last week was in a session, and the one thing that seem to be consistent, whether it's a social enterprise, whether it's a for-profit business, relationships and trust. So nurturing relationship, if let's say you're looking to engage an investor, you don't just treat them like an ATM and quickly go to them and say, hey, I have this. Will you invest? It's first listening. And then as you listen to them, you find the points of connection. And then you build a relationship, keep them posted, send them information on, oh, this week we're trying a new crop on the farm. Oh, this week we met somebody. Just keep them informed and use that to build a relationship. And that seems to be a secret sauce that often gets people who may not even be that interested, but it hooks them and catches their attention. I don't have any technical apple, but the little that I've learned and I'm still learning is the value of whether it's a hardcore investor or whether it's a soft family friends NGO, funding source, to always focus on the relationship. The rest, follows more easily. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what she shared is
I raised my
actually
hand because I had a question.
okay. All right.
So when
Okay.
you're done adding,
Okay,
then
then
I have a question.
okay, sure. Yeah, so what she shared is
My
actually on point. Okay, so should I finish and then you can ask your question?
Yes, please. Please finish.
Okay, sure. Yeah. I mentioned in one of the slides that some investors they are coming in because of you. And that is where the relationship is very important. They are coming in not because they have seen, some wonderful numbers like the banks are looking for, but because of the person that is behind the business. And that is where the relationship is very important. You need to build trust with these people so that, yes, they'll be comfortable to come in. But like she also shared, it's not just a one item, it's a mix of all of the things that you mentioned, the resilience, yes, of course, the funding as well, and all the other things, the markets, opportunities, even the what is happening in the economy, etc. All of those play a role in the success of the business. Okay, thank you. All right, Stacy, you can ask your question. Hey, I hope I can answer.
Oh, you can answer. Some of your points on the screen, bro. I was just wondering, in a ecosystem, how active? I know there was the Ghana Angel Investor Network game. Do we have angel investors, and where can we find them? Because some of the things that some of us do, it's social enterprise through and through, and I know there's reach for change, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there are angel investors who will invest and be patient enough to wait, for returns. So it's not just venture capital. So
Yeah.
that's my question. Thanks.
Yeah. So GAIN, so Ghana Angel Investors Network. I think that's what. I'm not sure if they are still very active, but I know that some I know some guys were trying to, set up another angel investment network. I've just forgotten the name. So they also have a website where they could, do a match between, an angel investor and then the business or the SME. But I've just forgotten the name. I would look for it and then send it to you. And then I also know that of the Lady Angel Network, LAN. That is being run by a few people I know as well. So I'll get you their contacts for both the Lady Angel Network and then the other one that I've forgotten the name. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I think that IIGH, Impact Investing Ghana, together with the Ghana Venture Capital Association, I think they are doing something around the angel investors network to sort of get a lot of interest because people have, there are high net worth individuals around who have, money instead of, putting it into the usual places, they wouldn't mind supporting SMEs with it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? I think we have about 5 minutes more. Or Manuela, how much time do we have?
Yes, about 5 minutes.
Okay. All right, so we have time for perhaps one more question. All right, Manuela, I'm handing over to you again.
Hi.
Yes, hello.
I want to ask the GVC or P or something you mentioned.
Yeah,
Where is it happening? You said on the 18th. Where exactly,
yes,
please?
I think it's happening at Deloitte. But if you go, I would, yes, thanks for bringing that up. I would also recommend that for these institutions, we go onto their LinkedIn pages and follow them because they tend to share a lot of what they're doing, what's happening, on their LinkedIn pages. So if you go to let me just confirm that the LinkedIn page for is actually GBCA. So just give me a moment. Yes, so if you search for GBCA on LinkedIn, you would find it, and you would find the information on the investment readiness.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm handing back to you, Manuela. So
Okay.
thank you all very much, and I do hope that this has been a useful session.
Yeah, thank you so
And
much.
I'm available for conversation outside of this call.
Okay. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very insightful and well-rounded. And I learned a lot. I took a lot of notes, and I'm sure most of us did too. And we'll go and do some more research on some of the resources that you mentioned, especially the ones that you mentioned when you were answering Dr. Isian's questions. So thank you so much. And we really appreciate if you share some of the information that you're going to share with Dr. Isiansa with us. Maybe you can put it on the YAF page or something. It will be really helpful for all of us, I believe. And so,
Okay.
I would say a very big thank you for making yourself available for us to approach you in church. God bless you so much.
Thank you very much. Amen.
Okay.
So Manuela, do we go back, or what do we do now?
Yes, so we can go back into the, unless someone has like a final question. You have like 2 minutes to go.
Okay.
Yeah. If not, we can all just move back into the main session. Thank you so much for participating and listening attentively. I hope you've learned something important that will be of benefit to your business. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.